Like I'm sad because it's like I am just so proud of being honest. Like to watch it, I was like shouting at the telly, don't, just stop talking.
Hello and welcome to Security and Secure, hosted by me, Johnny Seifert. This is the Celebrity Mental Health Podcast where I say it's okay to not be okay. And if you have the same mantra as me, then before you watch or listen to today's guest, please subscribe to Security and Secure where you're listening or watching. And at the end of the episode, leave a 5-star rating and a review and click that bell button so you always get that notification to let you know there's a new episode of Security and Secure out. Now, let me tell you about my guest today. My guest today, you'll know as part of the Married at First Sight 2023 lineup. This week, however, she decided to lead the experiment after Homestay Week, where after coupling up with Thomas, she realised that they were on different journeys. And to tell her mental health journey and to tell us how she's feeling a week on, I'm delighted to welcome to Security and Secure. It's Rozz Darlington. Hello, Rozz.
Hi, thank you for having me.
My absolute pleasure, especially on such a pinnacle week this week, where this was the week where, although you filmed it ages ago, this is kind of probably the most high-pressured week for you to watch back and to have all the social media around because you came to the end of your experiment. So first question is just how are you feeling right now after being in this whirlwind and having all these emotions brought up again?
Yeah, it's been really hard. Like, obviously, it was only a few days ago, and I think like watching it back, seeing like when you're in the moment, you know how you feel, but you don't know how you look. And I think like watching me back, like I really look broken. Like I really look sad. I don't want to be hurting Thomas. I just want to be honest with him. I look a bit like fragile, confused, vulnerable. And to see some of the hate I've been receiving from being that person, I just couldn't stop crying the other day. And like, luckily I had the welfare team around me. But you know, and you're like, I couldn't go on my phone. I was scared to go on my phone. I was scared to look at my DMs. I was thinking like, why are these people being so nasty when all I've done is be honest? As soon as I knew I felt this way, I was just upfront and honest with Thomas. Like, would it not have been crueler for me to drag him on? And I just think like in that moment, I started thinking like, what's this experiment about? It's about trying to find love. It's about growing as people. It's about being married. And I feel, what did the people want? I knew they got on with this journey and they loved it. But what did the people just want me to be fake till the end and lead Thomas on and be disingenuous? And
But
it's like it was sad.
forgetting about Thomas and forgetting about the viewing public, what about your state of mind? Feeling that fragile and vulnerable the first time where, look, we know obviously the mechanics behind the show of, it's not a real marriage, but the idea is that you are married for the purposes of the show and hope that you go on to have a relationship. But what did that do to your sense of self-belief, your sense of self-love, and your sense of identity about who the Rozz Darlington was in that moment when you had got to such a low point for yourself?
For me, I feel like I started this journey. I knew who I was. Yeah, I had past hurt, I had past pain, but like I realized my worth and I thought I'm ready for marriage. And then I think as the experiment goes on, you put so much effort into your relationship, you start to be mentally drained. You start to be, it's hard in there. And then I think when I got home, that's when I realized, that's when the trigger started when I did homestay, where I realized like I've lost me a little bit. Like all my insecurities are so raw because I've almost been giving all of my positivity because I wanted to Thomas and to this relationship. And I think I just realized in that moment, like I'm I'm done. And it wasn't just for Thomas; it was for the experiment. Like every single bit of me, I put into it, and I was drained. I needed time away, and I think sometimes you just got to look after your own mental health.
Talk to me about that drainment. What did that draining emotions feel like? And what does that mean to the average Joe on the street? If you said, I feel drained, what does that actually mean for you, Ross? Because we know these are very long filming days you do. It's a very intense experiment. You're living with one person who don't know that well. It's very intense. So talk to me about when you hit that point at the end of the experiment, when you go, do you know what? I just need a break.
Like I got home, I was like had the shakes. I was like I was shaky. Like crying a lot. I was crying. I thought at one point, am I just like having a breakdown? Like I felt like I was overthinking things. I was overthinking what I was saying. I didn't want to hurt Thomas. I was thinking about what I was doing. Was I upsetting Thomas? If I do this, will that upset Thomas? And I think when you get into that thought process, you just spiral. And I just think for me, me being drained was just like shakes, not really wanting to eat, being really emotional, just really wanting to go and hide under a rock. And I say that on the show. I say like I want to put the brakes on. Like I want to go hide under a rock. I felt like I just wanted to like have a week, a month, a few days, a few hours just where I was protected from having to show all these emotions. It was fine. It's just when you're asked to, how do you feel? How do you feel? How do you feel? You start to not really be able to feel anymore until you're just like, I don't feel well. I don't feel okay. I just want the security of my family. And then you forget that you're on a TV show. You really forget that you're behind the camera and you're being so raw and genuine, and you forget that like people are going to judge you.
But there's a difference between being judged as a character on a show like Married at First Sight. And we know that any reality show, there are characters, right? You've got a role to play on the show. So we know, for example, of your series, Ella and JJ were kind of the villains of the series. We know that Brad had his problems with Shona. He was a villain of the series. Your character journey wasn't like that. You and Thomas were seen as kind of the king and the queen of the series, the ones that would be like the Australian version of Cam and Juliet, who will just keep going down that journey. That's the character of a TV show. That's the narrative. That's the storyline. However, you are a real person, Roz. You're going on your own journey to go, look, I'm 28 years old. I want to get married. I've been hurt in the past. Let me go on this journey. You find this guy, blah, 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 blah. But for you to say what you've just said of, I thought I was having a breakdown on Married at First Sight. Forget about the TV show. This is you with raw emotions. And when the cameras are off, this is what you're going to have to deal with. And this is what you're dealing with now. So with that mindset of, I think I'm having a breakdown, what support have you had? And what are the coping mechanisms that you've been given so that you don't have a breakdown to protect your own mental health?
I think, first of all, leaving. Like, was for me, there was no option. Like I was just so emotional, I needed to just take myself out of that environment. Like I'd given my all to it and I'd really tried and it's not worked. I feel guilty and all of that just gets on top of you. Do you not think I think I'm a horrible person? Do you not think I know I'm hurting Thomas? And I think all that pressure, so leaving for starters, just having my own space. And then the welfare team, really, really incredible. They have psychs. I was on the phone once, twice a week to a psych, just trying to be better. I have my own therapy. I have my own therapist. And I think I hadn't seen her for 8 weeks for filming. So I feel like I could tell I was starting to crack because I wasn't having that regular therapy with my own therapist that I know. And really just being around my family and friends, the support that got me through my previous breakup, made me realize you got through that. You can get through this. Just having those people that genuinely care for you and cuddle you and, just really sitting into a cuddle with your mum and dad, for me, speaks more than 1,000 words. I just feel safe, secure, warm, like no one can get to me. And I do think like you've got to have, most people do break in there. It's intense. It's just, are they better at controlling it than me? Potentially, yeah.
Well, like you said, you've had to go through a therapist in the past. That therapist you found, and it might have been you've spoke to other therapists, but it takes a lot to find that one person that you really click and connect with. And so when you've got 8 weeks where you're not talking to them and you've got a welfare team who are there to support you, but they're not someone who knows every bit of background, and there's not time for that. And also emotionally, you don't want to bring up your past relationships necessarily on day to day because everything's kind of fine. How did you deal with not having that therapy and having that person to talk to you? Were you journaling? Were you doing those coping strategies that you had in therapy? Or did you literally go, right, I'm doing this TV show, I don't need therapy, but actually I should have kept up that consistency?
Like if I could, I would have met my therapist, Eleni, every week. But I couldn't because she got me through everything in the past. Like I literally, with my previous breakup, I literally didn't want to get out of bed. I literally thought my world was ending. I thought, why have I deserved this? I'm never going to be able to find anyone ever again. And she got me through that.
So was that why you went to therapy in the first place, because of that breakup, or did you have therapy prior to that?
It's weird. I think everything happens for a reason. So like a couple months before the breakup, I started going to therapy, and it was just about like my anxiety around business, wanting to be good in business and putting too much pressure on myself. I was always thinking, is the flower business not doing well enough? Am I not doing well enough? And it was just all self-doubt. And that's why I started. And then when the breakup happened and my horse died, I truly believed, like, I looked at Eleni and we were like, we were meant to be speaking to each other because she was meant to help me. I believe that she was just meant to help me. And it's like when you've got that bond with someone, I go straight back to her now, and she just gets it. She just knows it's okay to like be upset. But I'm the type of person that don't want to be upset every day. I want to get
Mm.
out of bed and I want to have a good day today. It's like when we watched the episode, Thomas and I watched the episode the other day. It's like I don't want to feel. I feel sad in the moment, but tomorrow I don't. I want to feel less sad as I did today. So what am I going to do? That was my coping mechanism.
How hard was it to watch that episode back, sitting with Thomas, but also sitting with both your phones, and you're getting DMs, he's getting DMs. People get really invested in it, and sometimes it goes too far. And we obviously talk about the Be Kind campaign all the time, but I feel like, especially with a Married at First Sight or a Love Island, and especially that you're not filming at the moment and you are back to reality, trying to have your own lives post-show, that people get so mixed up between what's real and not real that they take it almost too far.
I think because we were all together actually. So Tom was in his room and I was in with the girls. And Tom likes to deal with things, his way. Like he likes to shut himself off a bit, just I suppose I don't know, like men really do go in their cave and try and sort things out, whereas women obviously like to go to them for women, talk to them, seek advice. But to be honest, as soon as like the program started, I was just crying the whole way through. I was just crying. I was just like everything I was proud of. Like I'm sad because it's like I am just so proud of being honest. Like to watch it, I was like shouting at the telly, don't, just stop talking. Because it is this, I knew I was going to get hate and this breakup. Like, when you break up with someone at home, like it hurts, but no one can comment on it. When you're breaking up with someone on TV, I felt it change. I felt like hate, like just around. I was just sad. Why did I be so honest? But then I've been brought up to be that way. Like, I don't want to lead Tom on, and like something just didn't feel right in my heart, and I shouldn't be punished for that. Like, I've been in a relationship where he didn't probably feel right for ages, and he didn't tell me, and he led me. I felt led on. But it's like, what do the pub? I knew in that moment what the public was. They were just so rooting for me and Tom, and I just watched myself and hated me.
The thing is, and this is why I wanted to get you on the podcast, is that it doesn't matter what the public think, doesn't matter what the viewer thinks, doesn't even matter what Thomas thinks. The thing is that you've been on your own journey in previous relationships. You've had to build up that resilience and the boundaries so you don't get hurt again, because otherwise you're going to be in a cycle that you're going to keep getting hurt. And the most important thing is your mental health. And the most important thing is that you deserve to be with the right person at the right time. And you might go, I've been single my whole life and I've never had a girlfriend. And, I've not had that moment yet. Because I don't think I'd have been able to deal with the heartbreak. And you've had to go through that not once, but twice now. And I want you to be able to pick yourself up and have that self-love for yourself, that you can be loved and that you've got love to give, because we know you've got love to give, but it's just not been the right person yet. And it might not be on a TV show you're going to meet that person, but I just want you to know you are going to find love one day, because I feel like I'm getting the sense that you've kind of not at the moment got that confidence in yourself. And I just want you to be able to build up that confidence again, because when you go that low, it's very easy to keep going more downwards. And I want you to try and get upwards now, because, being in this mindset now is not going to be good for you. And obviously the therapy, you're going to need it again. But I just want you to know that you're okay to be in this moment. It's okay to feel sad and have this grieving process and then go on again.
Yeah, and I think you're totally right. Like, I think it's just rewatching it, like you wouldn't normally have to do that. It's a judgment of people. And I know for me, when I watch the telly, it's my opinion of me that hurts me.
Yeah, exactly this. Because we are
Yeah.
our worst enemies, aren't we? We beat ourselves up
Yeah.
all the time.
When I watch and I don't like certain bits that I do or certain bits I say, like that's me. Though that's me on telly. I'm not playing anyone. People are like, you're an actress. Like, babe, if I could act, I would be in Hollywood. Do you know what I mean? Like, or I'd be like, that ain't acting. And when because of that, I watch it and I think, like, God, you pick on everything that's you because that's you on telly. But I think you're right. I think I'm like at the end, I'm like, I'm broken. Will I ever find anyone? I'm damaged goods. And I think when you have those opinions and insecurities, for then the public to be like, yeah, you ain't worthy of Thomas. Like, Thomas is too good for you. It's like, okay, yeah. The thought that that person could do that to you, that you really did give it all your heart to. I think some of the smiliest people can just mask all their insecurities because they don't want to be sad. They don't want to talk about them. And I think until potentially do you actually fully properly heal?
It's interesting as well that in your day-to-day life, you obviously own Rosaline Flowers and you're around such happiness all the time and you're making flowers for weddings and for events and also for partners giving to other partners. And sometimes it's like being a giver also means that there's going to be times where you're just watching everyone else be happy and you're like, well, when's it going to be my time? It's all very nice making these bouquets for everyone else, but I want to have my own bouquet. Who's going to give that to me? So what are you now going to do moving forward? Forget about the show. This is Rozz now, post Married at First Sight. You've got a bit of a following on social media now. You've got your business, Rosaline Flowers. What are you going to do now to focus on your own self-love journey?
I think it's just like going back. Well, I'm with my therapy, I am having therapy. I think it's just changing everything I say. Like, I know I've had therapy for a long time. I know change whatever I'm saying as a negative to a positive. So me crying then being like, oh, I used to love how honest I am. No, I love how honest I am. Changing my chain of thought. Like, and I know what to do. I just need to do it more often. And I think because I've been feeling these ways and then validation's been coming from trolls, then it's just become even bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's like, no, shut the noise out, say positive things to yourself. Like, I'm not a bad person. The people that love me know who I am. The people that I want to be around will be around me because that's who I attract. And it's like all these things do happen. And I just manifest happiness and good health and family. And that's all I really want. Like, do I want to seek a partner right now? No. I think I need to be on my own. I need to love myself and I just need to appreciate everything in life. I really do. And I am appreciative of everything.
And don't forget as well, with your farming background and crew, the fact that you've got that resilience, that you had those big early starts and you had those really long days, you've had to be able to be resilient to make sure that you're always working. You don't want half the animals to not be fed or to have not been cleaned. And so it's the same mentality for you now, is to go forward in your life and go, look, I'm on my own journey. It's okay to be single for now, but I'm going to focus on me. And at some point, the stars will line up and the law of attraction will happen. And when I'm ready, which I won't personally know because that's the brain and not the heart, someone will come to me into my ether and this will be it. And I've got the experience of going through a marriage. I've got experience of being in other relationships. And I know now this is going to be the perfect relationship to be in. So I want you to be happy and I want you to go and find that self-love for yourself. And what I want is all my viewers and listeners to do is to now go and order their own bouquets of flowers from Rosaline Flowers. So where can people go for more information and to find the perfect flower?
I do have my own website. I have Rosalind's Flowers on Instagram. It's all like social media driven. So like on my website, there's a shop. You can order. So there's like Christmas wreaths at the minute. Like they're really popular because obviously they can pre-order like postal wreaths. Christmas door wreaths. They can do classes. Head straight to my website www.roslins.co.uk. And then also just go check out the flower paddock because it's nice to see on Instagram the two businesses. The flower paddock grows all the flowers and it's all about British flower growing. And then Rosalind's Flowers obviously makes the bouquets and does the wedding. So it's a nice little contrast between farming and floristry.
Oh, amazing. Well, my thanks to Rozz Darlington there. If you love Married at First like I did, then in the library of Secondary Girls, there were episodes of Bianca from this series, Sophie Brown, Gemma Rose, PJ from last year's, Amy Christophers from the year before, and obviously the expert, Charlene Douglas, and there's 100 episodes of Paul C. Brunson, all in the library to check out so that we can keep spreading the word. It's okay to not be okay. If you love what we're doing here at Secure and Insecure, if you're watching on YouTube, click that subscribe button, click the thumbs up button, click that bell button so you get notified every single time there's a new episode on a Monday and a Friday with someone from the celebrity world talking about their mental health journey. And if you're listening on iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify, click that subscribe button, leave a 5-star rating and a review, and let's keep spreading the word. It's okay to not be okay. On social media, at Johnny Seifert 92 on TikTok, at Johnny Seifert at Secure and Insecure Podcast on Instagram, and at Johnny Seifert on X. That's where you can find me as I keep putting teasers out to say it's okay to not be okay. I'm Johnny Seifert. Thanks so much for listening or watching. Until next time, thank you and goodbye.